All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. Open my chat room so I can see any questions as well. So, thank you guys for joining us. We're expecting about 100 people to be joining us. I'm really just excited to show you guys some of these artists that we're going to be working with. But before we get to that part, I know there's a few of you I haven't met personally or I haven't had a chance to sit down and talk with for any extended length of time. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Dina Saunders Green, and I'm the founder and CEO at Green Pines Media, which is still a little strange to say, but yeah, as far as my background, I'm a child welfare social worker, and I worked with current and former foster youth when I first started out in my career about 10 years, oh, wow, about 12 years ago now. But then I was fortunate enough to start working with emancipated foster youth. At that time, these are young adults who were age 18 and over. And this was at a time in California when young adults were aging out of the foster care system at 18, and literally they were being handed their things in garbage bags or old suitcases and basically given resources that included the names and addresses and locations of shelters, because there were no other services for them other than here and there. You had programs, for example, the transitional housing program, but those spaces were limited. So we had a huge problem with homelessness among former foster youth. So back in 2012, California actually extended the age of foster care to the age of 21, which is really great. That meant that young people actually had funding. That meant that they could pay for housing. One of the problems, unfortunately, is that in the budget, they were only allotting for a certain small number of youth to be in extended foster care. And of course, the numbers of youth that they exceeded that number. So the funding wasn't quite there the way they thought. And in a lot of cases, we're still having youth who are struggling, or they're in extended foster care, as one of our artists can tell you a little bit later. They're getting services, but once they age out now at 21, it's a similar situation as it was, back in 2012, where instead of aging out at 18 and struggling with homelessness, now we have artists who are aging out at 21 and struggling with homelessness. And so as I was seeing these things, I just knew I wanted to do social work in a different way. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know it at the time, but I was practicing or wanting to practice something called human-centered design. And what that is really just talking with the young adults and finding out what their needs are. Ultimately, there were a lot of people in the nonprofit that I worked at who were artistic. They were singers, they were dancers, even comedians. At that time, though, we just didn't know what to do with their talent. I eventually left traditional social work and became a full-time foster parent. Hi, Lisa. I became a full-time foster parent strictly to teenagers, my husband and I should say. And that was because that was the age group that people struggled with. They thought, oh, teenagers are hard-headed, as though we all weren't at some point. And when we became foster parents, we just had a chance to really see things from a different perspective. And I thought, okay, well, let me raise awareness by writing a book. So initially, Green Pines Media was going to be a company that was indie publishing and podcasts. And I thought, hey, I'll help the youth tell their story and raise awareness. But thank goodness the youth gave me great feedback and said, yeah, Miss Dina, you wrote a book. I don't read. I don't tell my story through books. We tell our story through art and through music. That's where we need help with. And so eventually we pivoted with the help of the Masters of Social Entrepreneurship program at USC. I learned how to really listen to the population, how to really figure out how to make this a business, not just a good idea. And that's what we've been doing for the past year. We launched last year, so strange, this is our 1-year anniversary. And when we launched, it was really to test the concept and to make sure that this was something that resonated with the youth. And, you know, it was just really important for us to just really make sure that we were not just providing money, because that is the big thing. We want to monetize their artwork, but also it's life skills. Our tagline is doing social work different, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's basically because, you know, we want to use innovation. We want it to use human-centered design. And ultimately we ended up in the music industry, which is still very strange to me. But this is where a lot of our youth, music resonates with our youth so much, and that's why we kind of got into the area. Now, I do have a schedule that I want to stick with, so I don't keep talking, because I could talk forever. But we are at 3:12, and what I want to do is actually introduce you all to one of our artists. I'm going to unmute you. Okay, Adriana, can you unmute yourself now? Hi. So I want to introduce you guys to Adriana Sunshine. She is our first artist up today. Adriana is just this amazing young lady. She's a vocalist. She writes, she produces, and I have to say, I am not hip or cool at all, just so you guys know that. It's the artists who are teaching me things. And so we are actually going to start out with the video. This is, oh goodness, this was a project that we did the day before LA County shut down because of, you know, COVID-19. And so we didn't have an opportunity to shoot the official video yet, but at least the song, you know, is there, so we can share that. And that's kind of what we're doing today. All of these projects, none of them were filmed officially because they were done in the midst of social distancing, but we really wanted you guys to hear their artwork, to hear their music. So Adriana, are you ready for the video? Do you want to say a few words before we start just about the video, or do you want us to just get into the video?
Just go into the video.
All right, so I'm gonna get started. Now, I noticed when I did the updates for Zoom, it changed a little bit, so I'm sharing windows now instead of just sharing my screen, but this is... All right, so I'm gonna play it. Now, in the very beginning, it's going to be somewhat quiet. This is why our tagline is doing social work different, not differently. It's kind of a nod towards another company. And this will give you a bit of an idea about what we do kind of behind the scenes.
Ask yourself, what are you really here for? And oh, it's such a good feeling, such a good feeling, being on top of the world, looking up again. And oh, it's such a good feeling, such a good feeling, loving myself enough to rise above it all. Oh, rise above it all. Now I can look up again. I am flying so high. Don't wanna come down on the ride of my life, and I am slowing down for what you see there. This is just what I needed to keep me going. I've been waiting all my life for this moment, so I gotta stay focused on the road ahead. Ahead of me is a path, and I can see it so clearly now. There ain't no looking back now. And oh, it's such a good feeling, such a good feeling, good feeling. Loving myself enough to rise above it all. Oh, rise above it all. Now I can look up again. Rise above it all. 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 And oh, it's such a good feeling. Such a good feeling. Being on top of the world, looking up, and oh, it's such a good feeling. Such a good feeling. Loving myself enough to rise above it all. Oh, rise above it all. Now I can look up again.
Yay!
Yay. I'm over here like teary-eyed.
Oh, I love it. And you're not the only one. There will be some tears shed today. I was looking at your face, Adriana, as we were playing that, and just. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me see how to not do that anymore. Uh, okay, let me actually close out of that. Give me a moment. Technical difficulties. Okay, so what were you thinking first of all as you're watching that, Adriana?
About everything I've been through, everything I'm going through. Just like, wow, I really wrote that song. It's like, um, it's a lot, you know. Just, yeah, it's a
Okay,
lot.
so I want to ask you, and just so our audience knows right now, we're going to spend just a few minutes kind of talking with Adriana. She wanted to share some things with you that I thought were really important, and it is important. But I have to say, as a social worker, I'm still getting used to, how should I say this? Like, as a social worker, we were so used to confidentiality, right? We always wanted to, protect our clients, protect our youth. In this role, it's a little bit different because yes, I do want to protect our artists, but at the same time, they're ready to talk. They're ready to really let people know about what's happening in the world. And this is an issue I have to deal with. And sometimes our artists have to say, no, Dina, it's fine. I do want to talk. And so, Adriana, we're just going to spend some time, talking about some of these issues, and I will again try to keep it together. But Adriana, just to start, I have my questions here. Can you talk about how you are eligible for Green Pines Media? Let's just start there.
Okay, so I am a singer-songwriter, and I'm a former foster youth, and I was homeless for a while. So yeah, that's how I qualify.
Can you talk a little bit about homelessness? Like, how did that start? Because you were in extended foster care.
Yeah, so I emancipated at 21. I was in foster care from 4 years old till 21. And when I got out, they gave me $3,000. I had a daughter. She was 1 at the time. And I didn't have any like job skills. I didn't know how to look for an apartment. I didn't know how to pay rent. I ended up staying in a hotel and spent all my money staying in a hotel. And thank God I had a friend who let me stay with his family, or his family let me stay with him for a while. But that didn't last long. I ended up moving around a lot with my daughter. Um, and that was my life for like 2 years, just moving, couch surfing, um, barely having any money. Um, I ended up letting my daughter go with like family because I couldn't take care of her. That was like a very hard decision, and I know I'm trying to cry. I
It's
know it was
okay. It's okay.
because I love my daughter. I love her so much, and I always was like, oh, I'm not gonna be like my mom, and I'm not gonna be like my mom. And now she's with her dad. She's with her dad in Florida, happy. She's 4 years old now, but like I knew like I had her young, and I didn't have any skills. Like I had skills, but I didn't know how to use them. I didn't know how to make money. I didn't know how to take care of a home. I didn't know none of that. I was never taught that. It's something I'm still learning. And I think foster care sets people up because we go through this system. A lot of us don't get job training. A lot of us don't get told like we come up with like this whole we expect things from people. We expect shit to just excuse me. We expect things to just be given to us because even though we weren't given a lot, that's what we were given a place to stay. Once we turn 18, we don't have to pay rent. We don't have to pay for anything. We're just given money. And if we don't go with the program that they have set up, they don't really push that. They don't really be like, okay, what's going on with you? What's going on with your mental health? Why don't you want to work? What's going on? What are you good at? They don't push that. So when you come out of the system, it's like you're asked out. Excuse my language,
It's
but
okay.
like they don't care no more. Like you're left to figure things out on your own. And um, I'm like, I'm figuring it out, but what was the question again?
No, it was just talking a little bit about, your experience with homelessness. And
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned to me, like when we were talking, that people have this perception of what homelessness is. Do you want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
So there's the Skid Row that everyone knows about, everyone sees. I call it the real diaspora, African diaspora, because you go down there, you see black men, black women strung out. Like, and even if they're not on drugs, their minds are gone. Like, it's sad. That's one part of it. That's a huge part of it. But there's also people like me who look like me. Literally, this is how I was homeless because there's so many resources in LA for homeless youth. Safe Place for Youth, the Good Seed. They give us free clothes, food. There's so many resources for us, but it's like they're profiting off of homelessness at the end of the day, and it's scary and it's sad. And if you don't use it for what it's there for, you're just going to be getting profited off of. And so, like, I used what I had. They gave me canvases, they gave me art supply, they gave me a space to record. They like the Good Seed introduced me to Dina to Greek Pines Media. Um, and I've always had music. Like I've always known music was my way out. I've always known music was my way out. And so like that's what I've been doing. Like being homeless taught me that nobody's gonna do it for you. Nobody's gonna do it for you. Let me take a moment so I can get this
It's okay.
crying out of my voice.
So something else, Adriana, I just wanted to share is that you have experience in the studio before, and even when we first met, which is I think surprising to a lot of people, when we first met, like you knew, like you were performing, you were, you were in
Yeah,
cafes, you were performing
I
homeless.
was I was living in the studio, in the music studio. It was like someone's garage that they turned into their studio. And I was staying there, and the engineer was really good at his job, and he produced a lot of good music. And I wrote all the lyrics and everything, and it was good for the music. Um, but yeah, long story short, yeah, I'm a professional. I'm a professional, and even though I was, that's why I'm like, homelessness. The African diaspora is real. The indigenous diaspora is real. Like the fact that people were misplaced and like our whole families were torn apart. Like in the middle of the night, people came and took me from my home at 4 years old. Like that's weird. That's not normal. I haven't had a family since then. My family's chaotic, and it's been like that for generations. And it's like, okay, where did that start from? How can I be this talented, this gifted, and have all this going on,
Right.
you know?
So,
And like, yeah.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I was curious when you first heard about our mission of just monetizing artwork and using music and art as life skills. What did you think about that when you first heard our mission?
That's all I've been wanting to do. That's everything I want to do. I've been wanting to sing and write music and have that as a career since forever. And so the fact that you come with that platform is like, it was cool to me. I'm like, everything happens perfectly in time, in perfect timing.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And I should also point out, for those of you who have not seen Adriana's posting on Instagram, she is also a visual artist. She paints, like just this well-rounded artist. It's just insanely talented. And then one other thing, Adriana, I know you mentioned was Crystal Kaiser. You wanted to just talk a little bit about that. Do you want to talk about who she is and just why her story touched you so much?
So Crystal Kaiser is a young lady. I believe she's 19 now. She's from Wisconsin. She was a part of the sex trafficking. Um, I call it the sex slave trade. Um, and she killed her. I don't know if he was her pimp or he was a part of that whole ring of people that were working with her or trafficking her.
Right.
And she killed him. She killed him. She killed this man that was trafficking her, and they got her for murder. They arrested her for murder, and she's in jail right now for murder. And she was 17 when this happened. And I just recently found sorry. I just recently found out about her like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And I'm like, what can we do about that? Because she was a child and they were having sex with her, grown men. And pretty sure she was not making any money. And they were abusing her. And she stood up for herself in the best way she could, which I think is the best way to do it. I don't think pedophilia is okay at all in any way. And it's happening in prostitution. Like the average girl that gets lured into sex trafficking is 12 to 13, 13 to 14.
Why do
My
you think that
mom,
that resonated with you so much? Because
my mom,
okay.
because of my mom. Like, my mom is an ex prostitute. She's in jail now for trafficking a minor That's what they're calling it. She was only prostituting. She didn't know the girl was 17 because I don't want to go into detail.
No, and that's fine. You don't have to go into detail, but it was just her story really resonated with you.
Yeah. And it's like, how do I say it? Like, my mom got into that life when she was only 18 and she's 46, yeah, and 46. And that's all she knows.
And I remember
All
you
she knows.
mentioning something about the correlation between human trafficking and foster care, or just that those feelings of.
Yeah, I've been approached by pimps because it's like they smell vulnerability on younger girls. They know when you're going through shit. People know when you're going through stuff. They see it on your face. They see it on your energy. And if they feel like you're young and you're weak, and you can be manipulated into doing what they want to do so that they can profit off of you, they will. And I was a runaway too, and I ran into a lot of pimps. Even being around my mom in that life, you it's sad because she was manipulated. And then the fact that she didn't have any. I'm pretty sure she has other skills because if you work in that life and you can do that, you have other skills. But the fact that she just that's her life. That was her life. There's no retirement after that. This young girl, Crystal Kaiser, probably thought somebody probably told her she was gonna make a lot of money, that they were gonna take care of her, that they were gonna do all these things for her. And now she's in jail for murder because they were taking advantage of her and abusing her, probably torturing her.
Whew. So I have to say, Adriana, I'm always concerned that I don't want this to be something that puts you in a place where you're experiencing pain or something like that. That is not what we're about at all. So I want you to be able to express yourself, but at the same time, I want you to talk about how you were able to heal from some of these things, using your music, how you were able to heal from or deal with homelessness and these stories about young girls like Crystal Kaiser. Like, how are you able to use music to heal?
It's a process. It's a healing process. Um, it's like I have to go there often. Music is like my safe space. Music is my safe space. Um, and I know it's not just for me, it's for everybody, you know.
What do you listen to when you get stressed out? Are there specific songs or artists?
I listen to Janae Aiko as of recently.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of Oshun. These two singers from Washington, D.C., and they have really uplifting music.
Okay.
Um,
What
yeah,
about when you're mad? If you get really angry, how do you, what kind of music?
Janae Aiko has been my go-to
Okay.
for my bad. When I'm mad, I listen to my music for I listen to Be Strong.
Okay.
That's my go-to.
Which is a great segue into what we're going to be doing next. And so I just wanted to share with the audience, there were some connection issues that we had a little bit earlier. So Adriana is actually going to be singing Be Strong a cappella.
Yeah,
So are you ready for that? Are you up for it?
I'm up for it. Yes,
Okay.
of course.
All right, whenever you are ready. So Adriana Sunshine, and this is Be Strong.
All right. So it goes. Be strong, yeah, like the roses that grow in the winter time. Hold on, yeah, to keep your balance. You must find where you're start. Look inside and find out who you are. It's what the voice inside my head keep telling me. When distractions come
Hello?
along.
Keep going, Adriana. Sorry.
When distractions come along to derail me from this path I've been walking, it's been so long. Songs I've been singing since I started talking keep playing through my head like some dope lyrics on repeat. I keep on keeping on, like my feet ain't tired. I just rewired myself to be free, be strong, like the roses that grow in the winter time. Yeah, just hold on, yeah, to keep your balance. You must find where you're start. Look inside and find out who you are. 'Cause who you are is greater than they'll ever know. It's deeper than they'll ever show. So you must go deeper. Don't know no different, just know I am deeply rooted like the tree. And every part of me is caught up in the waves. Shape the way I move when I'm with you, and I can see through the limit. The sky ain't the limit, no. There's more to this than what we see. There's more to this than we must go there. We want to know where the sun comes up in the morning. Go there with me. Take me there. Lead the way, just be strong. Like the roses that grow in the winter time. Hold on, keep your balance. You must find where your roots start. Just look inside and find out who you are.
Thank you, Adriana. So, yeah, that is Adriana Sunshine, you guys. And, you know, when we first started planning, our 1 year anniversary, this was months before COVID happened, and we really wanted to do a live concert, this full production, kind of like we did for our launch party, but we have Zoom instead, and it's not the best with audio, but at least it allows us to share video and things like that. With that in mind, I do want to let you guys know that if you want to support Adriana, above here is her Cash App and some information. All of our artists, whenever they participate in anything, we pay them, just so you know. But what we pay them as a startup is nothing compared to what they could make at live performances. So there is no pressure here. It's just if you feel so led. That is Adriana's information. Adriana, any final parting words before we move on to our next artist?
Yeah. Joy is a daily choice because there's so much going on. And the best thing to do is choose joy. I was very emotional. I am very emotional naturally. And I'm learning to control my emotions and just to try to be more happy, try to be happier. So music helps with that. So even if you feel like you can't sing, dance, move, listen to music, listen to your favorite songs, and get into the space of joy, and then work on spreading that joy. Because we're all here experiencing the same things. So
okay,
thank you all. Send me some funds.
Adriana, do me a favor. In the chat, put your Cash App in the chat as well. I had it here on my screen. I just it back. So if you're able to do that, if not, I'll have maybe Terry or someone do it.
I'll do it. I will do it now.
Yeah, just put your name and your Cash App there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you, Adriana. Thank you so much for sharing. I have to ask you, Did I censor you? You know, I didn't want to take your voice away, but I was nervous about you sharing. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay,
It's okay. Like, crying is okay. It's a lot going on right now.
for sure.
It's a lot going on. And everyone wants to be all desensitized. Don't be. Express every emotion.
Okay. Thank you. Talk with you soon.
Peace. Bye.
Okay. So yes, Adriana Sunshine. Being in the studio with her was like an amazing experience because she really is a professional. Just working with the sound engineers and all this stuff, I had no idea what was happening, but between Adriana and the sound engineer, they explained it to me. And really, what we do as a company, in addition to, like I said, monetizing the artwork, is just teaching her life skills. For example, we are very transparent at Green Pines Media. When we were done with our session, we purposely talk with the studio to say, hey, how much is this? Let's open the books so that our artists can see what it costs to rent, what it costs for the audio engineer, what it costs for breaks. I want them to know all of these things because at some point, you know, they're going to move on and be doing their own things, and they can now book their own studio time professionally. And for those of you who are able to see the video, Clear Lake is actually the studio where No Doubt recorded Tragic Kingdom. You know, Gwen Stefani and I'm Just a Girl. That's where Adriana did her first singles or with us. So that was amazing. So we are, oh, I see Anthony Gray's here. So we are going to move forward with the next video, actually. It is a video called Steps by Anthony Gray. And then when we are done with the video, we're going to unmute you, Anthony, so we can have our discussion. And we will go from there. So without further ado, this is Steps by Mr. Anthony Gray.
Staring at the ceiling, reminiscing about the steps of my past ways. Ooh, that's right. Haunted by the curses and the steps of my past ways. Ooh, all night, ran to the Lord, He'd make a better pathway. Ooh, I lost sight. Hope I don't get swallowed by the system in the last days. Ooh, gotta fight, okay. Pain hitting me, I'm hollering. Affected by mental health and gang violence. Trauma got me up now, my tears falling. Should've listened when the saints said, young man, young man, young man, watch your step. Young man, young man, young man, watch your step. Young man, young man, young man, watch your step. Young man, young man, young man, watch your step. Now you question your fight, floating through the twilight. Thoughts of taking your life. One day it's gonna get right. Now you question your fight, floating through the twilight. Thoughts of taking your life. One day it's gonna get right.
Dear dreamer, that's dreaming, wanna move something. Just remember, gotta reach before you touch something. Hey, no stalling, take actions. Gotta focus, keep the faith, take the disappointment and ration. Block everything that'll break you down like a fraction. Don't never let your steps make you step away from your passion, Gotta keep your feet planted. Avoid overthinking, overthinking kills planet. Despite all the pain, you got a purpose on this planet. Y'all didn't make no mistakes, you know He planned it. Just remember you gon' get more. You are not a victim, you a victor. Triumph is what I call you. Hope your blessings lift you when your curses fall off you. Just remember.
Young man, young man, young man, watch your step. Young man, young man, young man, watch your step. Young man, young man, young man,
watch your step. Young man, young man, young man, watch your step. Yeah, now you question your fight. We free in one mind at a time. This has been a Green Artist Media exclusive. I'll be Mr. Anthony Gray. Right. Now you question your fight. Flowing through, we out here. Yeah, thoughts of taking your life. One day it's gonna get right. Okay.
Okay. So that was Steps by Mr. Anthony Gray. Let me make sure I close out of this actually. Let's see. Give me one moment. There we go. All right, Anthony. I'm sorry, take yourself off of mute one more time. Hello, sir. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. So I just want to, I'm being very transparent as Adriana was going. I was messaging Anthony because he wasn't signed on yet and stuff. And he's like, send me the link and things like that. So, you know, behind the scenes stuff. How are you, first of all?
Less that I can feel.
Okay, that's better than not. So I want to say, first of all, that Anthony came to us as part of a duo. We like to call them our dynamic duo with Seymour, the producer. Seymour is actually a former foster youth. Anthony is not. He is a very strong advocate who is also a former gang member. Anthony and Seymour, oh goodness, you most of the projects they have just really hit me in the heart. And I have to say, I did not listen to a lot of rap before I started working with them. But they came to me with Steps and said, here you go. We want you to have this. Like, they didn't want to be paid for it. They didn't, you know, there was nothing. They literally had a completed song and I think a completed video and just wanted to give it to us. Anthony, why? Why did you guys want to give us, why?
Because what y'all stand for is right up our alley. Like, you got a lot of people that want to do something great, but you rarely find people that's like-minded. And when we saw that it was matching with the movement, it was important that we move with y'all.
Yeah, and I appreciate that and did, but I had to tell him our mission is to monetize it. We need to pay you. And what was that like for you? And again, we don't talk about amounts, of course, but what was it like to get paid for your work like that?
Well, it was emotional because this is stuff that we spoke into existence, but we always felt like serving people was the currency. And whatnot. So when we actually got paid for something that we felt like we was called to do, it was just like monumental at that moment, but it still was mind blowing.
Okay. All right. So I know you and I hadn't had this conversation before, but you know, I'm still navigating that social work piece, and I want to make sure you guys have a voice and are able to speak your heart and as you want. But you know, I'm still nervous. I'm still really protective of you guys. But I definitely want you to talk about some things, starting with, I have my questions here. Like, what are some of the challenges that you've experienced? Just let's say within the past year, what are some of the challenges you've experienced?
Realizing that most dysfunctional relationships start with you. And when you're oblivious to how dysfunctional you are subject to do a lot of dumb things. Health, as you know, the thyroid cancer stuff, and right. I didn't recognize the importance of being a father till I lost my father and became one. So that's been a journey as well for me.
Okay. Now I want to back up just a little bit because I didn't know if you were actually going to talk about it. But you said the thyroid cancer thing. So Anthony Gray was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. How long ago was it?
About 2 years ago now, back in November.
Yeah. And yet this young man continues to perform whenever he can. He's just out there because music is in his blood, and he just, I think you've said before, like, music is what you do in addition to who you are. And like, how are you able to keep performing despite all those things that are going on?
Um, Whew, that's a that's a good question. Just too much has tried to silence me, so I just kind of, being that I naturally rebel against things that try to stop me, and that's what makes me fight the way that I do. Just because it seemingly it comes off like a death sentence doesn't mean you stop living. You just gotta live through whatever tries to hurt you. I mean, just don't live in what hurts you, because you can't help nobody like that.
Right, right. Okay. And yeah, that's another thing I want to point out. So I think it was maybe when I first started the social entrepreneurship program at USC, I was actually doing a radio show as well that was based off of a podcast called Formerly Fostered. And Anthony was actually one of the guests who was on the podcast. And in that episode, it was called Death Motivates Me. And he goes into extensive just, history about just his background and things like that. And again, those interviews are all confidential, so I didn't even want to necessarily share that. And Anthony's like, you got to get it out. You have to stop trying to, like, silence the movement. Just do it. Let us do our thing. So yeah, you guys are welcome to check that out. It's on SoundCloud or iTunes, the Formerly Fostered podcast. It has been in hiatus, but Anthony's story is there. The other thing is just a lot of the violence and stuff you talked about in the podcast. And within the past, I don't know, was it 4 months now? You've seen a lot of images of, violence and police brutality. How's that been for you?
Uh, it's been triggering. It's definitely been triggering. And a lot of times I feel like we gonna consume we gonna project what we consume. It's been very, very stressful. It almost feel like it ain't no hope. But I feel like that's when you start to really, really dig in and look at yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because hopeless is out there because it's what we projecting. And when you don't see past what you're going through, you never be more than what you are. So I'll be trying to really, really look past what's in front of me and find out what's inside of me to change what's in front of me.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the ways that, like, say, COVID-19 and social distancing, aside from being triggered, can you talk about some of the other, like, how has that impacted you?
It's been hard not to be around a family like that. On my son, being that I have an issue within myself already, I don't want to endanger him. It's just really been like messing with my mind a little bit. But all in all, like I said, like whatever you choose to stay in, it'll grow root.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'd rather stay out of it to keep it, because it'll kill progression.
Okay. And then the big thing is, how has music helped you heal?
Like I stated before, like it didn't necessarily help me heal, let me know that there is a healing process through music.
Okay.
And that's what I've been striving for. Because like when you recognize your pain as your power, and when you sit in that, once again, you sit in your pain, it'll leave you powerless. When you able to be in your pain and you able to do something that God put inside of you to heal other people, that's just something you just can't touch. Nobody can really touch that.
Okay. All right. Well, I know we're getting low on time, so I was gonna, maybe talk with you a little bit about the debate that we had going on, or the challenges associated with fighting this video that we're about to play. We had some little debates and stuff going on. The song is my favorite. This song that we're about to play, Fighting, it is absolutely amazing. It's some of the best work I've heard from CMAR and you. Personally, that's my favorite. There was some controversy about the video, though, but let's just say the video will be reshot. And I mentioned earlier that what we're showing is, it's what we've had to work with, what our artists are able to come up with. This is Anthony's artistic vision. So, yeah, without further ado, let's see. Where did we go? Oh, Fighting. Here we go. Fighting by Anthony Gray.
Man, I'm so sick of this 9 to 5 shit, bro.
Man, how sick are you, big bro? Like, you say that all the time.
I don't know if I got any more left in me, homie.
I feel you, but at the same time, you sound like you're tripping, because why don't you trust what God put inside of you to provide for you?
I don't fully know if I trust him all the way like that.
You sound stupid, but I can't blame you, man. I understand. But anyway, I still love you, and have a blessed one.
Appreciate the ride, homie.
Shit, no problem, man. Man, keep your head above the water, boy.
I'm just trying to change something. I'm just trying to change something. Before I take off, I'm just trying to change something. Trying to change something. Before I take off, I'm just trying to change something. My daddy said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. I'm gonna change the world. I'm gonna change the world. If I get my life together, I can change the world. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change. If I get my life together, I can change the world. I'm gonna change. Yeah, I'm gonna change. If I get my life together, I can change the world. I'm gonna change the world. Ain't this a bitch? Wanna start the track off and say that I'm tired. Honestly, just don't have no desire. Honestly, just wanna give up. Take a nap and just never wake up. That's what depression and suicide sound like. 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 Yeah. They say the struggle is real, but I'm sick of it. Rage begin to build, head hurt, so I'm losing it. Lovers keep on judging and triggering my impulsiveness. Got me feeling reckless, like I'm about to bust a bunch of lips. Walking in this blood, so I can't release my inner grip. Never needed Uber, cause my angels give a bunch of lips. It's tears as I write this, I'm healing as I write this, I'm letting faith conquer all fear as I write this. I'm broke as I write this, no joke as I write this. They cut my lights out, I'm in the dark as I write this. Yeah, my lights off, but I'm a light as I write this. I've been living wrong on my son, I gotta write this. Just because my battle don't look like yours, don't mean I ain't fighting. You can see the blood, all the wounds I endure. Can't you see the tears that I'm crying? What they gon' say? What they gon' say about me? What they gon' say about me? When I'm gone, what they gon' say about me? What they gon' say about me? Wanna start the track off and say that I'm tired. Honestly, just don't have no desire. Honestly, just wanna give up. Take a nap and just never wake up. That's what depression and suicide sound like. 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 Yeah. Last night I dreamed the dream that I was alive. That is a lie I don't believe. I beg of thee to hope and see, not hopelessly open your mind to open me. You don't know my odyssey, judging me for the outer me. Spiritually there is more to me that you ought to see. My father's departure had cracked my shell like a policy. Seen the picture, didn't get the picture. Search for your essence in every lesson when reading scripture. Inferior to these demons, inferior to disputes. Downloading these situations, but honestly can't compute. need connection like a cellular tower. Look at my wounds, I recognize that my pain is power. Ooh, I got you, got the heart of David, so consider me a solid man. Got a lot of wisdom, self-destructing like I'm Solomon. To be or not to be is really what I'm questioning. Trying to keep the faith until the day I see the Son of Man. Just because my battle don't look like yours, don't mean I ain't fighting. You can see the blood, all the wounds I endure. Can't you see the tears that I'm crying? What they gon' say? What they gon' say about me? What they gon' say about me? When I'm gone, what they gon' say about me? What they gon' say about me? Just because my battle don't look like yours, don't mean I ain't fighting. You can see the blood, all the wounds I endure. Can't you see the tears that I'm crying? What they gon' say? What they gon' say about me? What they gon' say about me? When I'm gone, what they gon' say about me? What they gon' say about me?
All right. So that was Fighting by Anthony Gray and Seymour the producer. Let me make sure I can close out of this. Give me one moment. Okay. How does it feel looking at that, Anthony?
Brought back a lot of emotion.
So I remember we were talking a little bit about that video, and we were starting to talk about the tears in there. Were those real? Was it eye drops? Okay, I think this is a good time, if you're okay with it. Maybe we can go to the next video takeoff. No? Okay.
They wasn't drops. They just as real as the ones I got right now.
What do you think makes you emotional when you look at that?
I think the craziest thing is when you gotta face the world scrutiny, but when you're facing your own scrutiny and you're crazy for believing in yourself, that's the crazy stuff. You know what I mean? When you feel bad about believing about what's inside of you that touch not only other people's lives but your own. You know what I mean? And as soon as I had got off work, my lights really shut off. I had to write that in the dark. You know what I mean? Things were just, I had to be the light in that dark. And that's what keep me going. Like, when lights go out.
Right. So I'm going to tell on you just a little bit. Just this is part of your heart, but it's also something very frustrating for me. Is you are one of the most generous people I have ever met, to a fault. To a fault. I've had to like coach Anthony on how to say, I don't have money to give, because he's that type of person where he wants to help other people so much that he will go without and have things, turned off and all that. Like, it drives me crazy. But, I do appreciate your heart. And even when we were negotiating our contract, because, let me back up a little bit. Anthony was the one who kept trying to get us to go into the music industry, and I wanted nothing to do with it because I don't know about it. I didn't know anything, but he's the one saying, here's what you need to do. Here's the website to visit. Here's where you need the cars, your membership to be, all these different things. So Anthony, along with Michael, he became one of our music ambassadors. I still didn't even know exactly what that meant, other than they are so passionate about what we're doing at Green Pines Media that they are helping to show me. And since then, we've, started working with an entertainment attorney. We negotiate contracts and all this stuff. And even with one of his contracts, he said it was too much money, which, dude. But what I do love is that he negotiated for the producer to get taken care of really well for some work. And I thought that was amazing. So I really appreciate you, Anthony. I just had to say that, telling you just a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and play Takeoff now. Again, there were some concerns about connection. So instead of doing this live, we're actually going to do this as another video that Anthony did. What was it, last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this is Anthony Gray with Takeoff.
This is Anthony Gray, and I will be performing Takeoff. It's a thing that we call Moon. More pressing over the nation. Mic check, 1, 2. Yeah. I'm a young spitter for Compton, had to acknowledge it, acknowledging. Speak a truth from beating up your cartilage. Playing my position in the midst of opposition. Had to make a few incisions just to squeeze in my position. Look, bring a nigga long. They better go and call somebody. And appear snatching up the souls of the Illuminati. Holy Spirit hit you like 12 shots from a shotty. It ain't got to be a murder. Just for me to catch your body. I ain't tripping out the trials that I'm facing. Look, I'ma make it, I'm pacing. Forget the top, cause the top is a limitation. Trying to move something, you know, change the situation. I'm just trying to build something, but your boy ain't amazing. See, I've been through the fire. Boy, was refining. I came out hard, I shine bright like a diamond. Bring truth to that black lie, see? Black lives don't matter, the black lies. And oh Lord, can't wait for elevation. Oh Lord, why am I so impatient? Not a product of my environment. Look, I'm a product of what the God did. Please pray for Compton. No wins, we losing. Look, I fight against the evil. I'm looking for a day we unite as a people. You got me saying, I'm just trying to change something. I'm just trying to change something. Before I take off. I'm just trying to change something. I'm just trying to change something. Before I take off. I'm just trying to change something. Trying to change something. Before I take off. I'm just trying to change something. Hey. He said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. Yeah. He said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. One time for your money said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. Yeah. He said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. Look, yeah. Hallelujah, give all of my praises to you. I'm breaking off every chain in the mighty name of Yeshua. Like, get the faith in all of your situations. You the mirror in the vessel, you show them by demonstration. One thing I know, man, is life is not fair. So I took all my problems and jumped in the air. Went through that tunnel, lit up like a flare. Then I looked at my past, I'm not going back there, see. The year's been sort of kind of intricate. I literally went from illiterate to a lyricist. Class session, take a look at my thesis, moving bodies with my mind. Yeah, let's telekinesis now. Put your hands like this. Put your hands like this. And if it feel good, then make a fist just like this. A fist like this. You got me saying, I'm just trying to change something. I'm just trying to change something. Before I take off. Yeah. I'm just trying to change something. I'm just trying to change something. Before I take off. I'm just trying to change something. Trying to change something. Before I take off. I'm just trying to change something. Bring me in. My daddy said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. I'm gonna change the world. Hey, hey, he said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. Hey, one time for your money said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. I'm gonna change. Yeah. I'm gonna change. He said, if I get my life together, I can change the world. I did change the world. Prince fingers, Prince fingers, Prince fingers, Prince fingers.
Oh, man. I can hear Terry clapping from the back. Yes, Mr. Anthony Gray. All right, let me close out of this to make sure it does not come back up.
That's my favorite song. Just wanted to pop in and say that. It's my favorite song.
My husband, Terry Green, by the way, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a very good one of my favorites as well. So yeah, Anthony, thank you. I do have some information for you, just a little bit, 2 things. If you want to support Anthony Gray, again, right up here is his Cash App, I believe, and his contact information. But the other way you can support him is by going to iTunes, Spotify, any of those places, downloading any of his music, of course, but also the Green Pines Media joint creations, because Fighting just released today. It's out now. Fighting and Takeoff, as a matter of fact, are both released. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on. But yeah, thank you, Anthony. It has been a pleasure, and talk to you soon.
Blessings, blessings.